Shalom guys, welcome back to another episode here at YASHAV You Ministry with Casa de Yarah. My name is Alexander Hernandez. I'm one of the youth leaders. If you like the content that we have on our channel, please like, subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please put it in the comments section down below. Also, to follow our congregation, you can download the Faith Life app, thefaithlife.com, and you can find us there. We're going to be transmitting our teachings through there. Also, through the Shuba TV, and you can find us on YouTube, and I'm going to be putting that information somewhere up here. With that being said, let's get started with this week's Torah portion. So, Devarim. Devarim is basically the beginning of the fifth book of the Torah, or the first five books of the Bible, right? And so, this is the fifth book, in which it has many names, and the most popular name is Sefer Devarim, which is a short name for Ve'ele Chad Devarim, which means the book of these words, right? And so this book naming, it's an ancient practice that follows that you put the name of the book based on the first words that are in the first sentence or the first portion. So the second name is Mishneh Torah, which means the repetition of the Torah, right? So here Moses opens up the Torah portion or this book of Devarim, right, of these words or the repetition of the Torah, and he is reminding this younger generation of the history that their ancestors have given them, right? The example. And so Moses is recounting the redemption from Egypt and the giving of the Torah, the trials and tribulations, the miracles, and everything that mainly the first generation stumbled upon or stumbled on, so that this younger generation can understand that whatever their generation that came before them did, they cannot repeat the cycle, right? So the disobedience and the ignorance to obey Elohim has to stop with their generation, because they're the ones that are going to be entering the land based on Elohim's word and promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? So Elohim is trying to fulfill this word, and Elohim is trying to give the fulfillment of this, right? But the people are being a stumbling block to themselves, not focusing on the goal, which is obedience to Elohim, so you can enter the land and basically reign with Elohim, right? And so Moses is recounting this, and it's interesting because Israel comes from a time, an ancient time, in where the belief is in many gods, right? And so one of the concepts that is established mainly in the book of Devarim is the concept of monotheism, right? And it's not only that God is the only God and that he's the only Lord of Lords, but he is the one true living God, right? And so in the ancient Near East, right, Mesopotamia, Egypt, mainly in Egypt, because it connects with Israel in their trajectory, is that Egypt had many gods, right? And in their cycle or in their history in Egypt, right, in the pharaohs, Ra became one of the most prominent gods. But even then, there was still many gods. Especially Egypt had different districts, right? Different cities, if you want to call them. And in each city there was a temple, and each city, the temple was dedicated to a different god, whether it be represented by animal or constellations, or the moon, the sun, a cat, a crocodile, right? So they have many concepts of gods. And so Elohim, when he delivered the first generation, established a point that he's the only true God, right? He's the only true living God, right? There is no image, or there's no form of creation that represent him, right? There's no image. So that's why it's part of the commandment, which is Don't create any images or of anything above you or below you, right? And he doesn't give us that. And so the first generation failed to do that with the golden calf, and with the ignorance to acknowledging Elohim over Moses or Aaron, right? They decided to eliminate Moses' leadership, Aaron's leadership, and so this is what Moses right now is trying to remind this generation and teach this generation and recounting to them so they understand that these things cannot carry over to the land, right? Especially with Joshua being the one that is going to represent them. So, another concept that is in this book and that is very important is the loyalty to Elohim, right? So, this book talks exclusively, right? Because you have to understand that right now Elohim is trying to fulfill this word of entering the people into the land. So he wants this young generation, this new generation, to understand the importance of loyalty to him, right? They have a clean slate. They have a fresh start to do the right thing or do the wrong thing, right? And that's what many of us have now too, right? We have the opportunity with when we accept Yeshua or Jesus Christ as our Messiah, right, and our Savior. We're given a clean slate to reestablish ourselves, right? To reestablish the honor that Elohim wants to give us in our obedience, in our following of the commandments, in our interaction with our communities and the world, representing him in as the image of Elohim in the world. Okay, so Elohim reestablishes loyalty, right? So there's only one God, and you're loyal to him, which is Elohim, Yod-Heh, Vav-Heh, right? Also, the concept of Elohim, right? And the concept of Elohim is very important, established in this book, because ancient Near Eastern concept, right? Especially, again, because we have to understand the culture and the context of the time and the people that are living in Israel's time, right? And so Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Hittites, all these communities, the Canaanites, again, have many gods. And so in reality, these communities didn't have an understanding on how to fulfill these gods' needs. And so their cultic rituals and presentations of offerings or how do you say, to worship, their forms of worship were based on a very empty and misunderstanding of what their imaginative God wanted, right? And so Elohim here establishes again the same way he did with the first generation, that he is a true God, meaning that he is just, he is caring, and he's a giver of laws, who shows no favor and takes no bribes. And so, and he upholds the fatherless and the widows, and is best friends with the stranger, providing them with full clothing, and he's faithful in keeping his commitments, right? So Elohim here is giving his heart again to the new generation, the same way he did with the first generation. And the last concept that we're going to talk here, or I want to present, is covenant, meaning it has many covenants, this book, but in particular, Elohim gives a repetition on him being so merciful and so true to his word that he is willing to have Moses reiterate what he has already established with their first generation. And what he's doing is renewing, right? And it's not a new pact, it's a renewal of the original pact that was broken by the fathers. And so Elohim, being merciful, gives a chance to this younger generation to understand that you have an opportunity to obey me and honor me, right? And so this book starts off with the following words: It says, "These are the words which Moses spoke to Israel across the Jordan in the wilderness, in Arabah, opposite of Suph, between Paran and Tophel, and Laban and Hazeroth, and Dizahab. It is 11 days' journey from Horeb by the ways of Mount Seir to Kadesh-barnea. In the 40th year, on the first day of the 11th month, Moses spoke to the children of Israel according to all the Lord had commanded him to give to them. And after he had defeated Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth and Edrei, across the Jordan in the land of Moab. Moses undertook to expound these laws, saying, The Lord our God spoke to us at Horeb, saying, You have stayed long enough at this mountain. Turn and set your journey and go to the hill country of the Amorites and to all their neighbors in Arabah, in the hill country and in the lowland, in the Negev and by the seacoast, in the land of the Canaanites and the Lebanon, as far as the river and the river Euphrates." Now it says here that it says you have stayed here long enough in this mountain, right? So this is a different context that we did not get on the first reading of the history of the first generation, right? He's saying that the first generation stayed in the mountain longer than expected or needed. And so it's interesting. Why is that? Why is that these people are more concerned with sitting and staying where they're at instead of progressing and growing, right? And moving forward with the purpose that Elohim has for them. And it says, "See, I have placed the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to give to your fathers, Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to them, their descendants, and after them. I spoke to you at the time, saying, I am not able to bear the burden of you alone." So this is Moses speaking now. It says, "The Lord your God has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day like the stars of heaven in number." Right? And this is a fulfillment of a prophecy given to Abraham. You know, Elohim told them that his generation, his descendants, were going to be like the stars. And so it says, "May the Lord, the God of your father, increase you 1,000-fold more than you are blessed, and blesses you, just as he has promised you. So how can I alone bear the load and burden of you and your strife? Choose wise and discerning and experienced men for your tribes, and I will appoint them as your heads." You answered me and said, the thing which you have said to do is good. So I took the heads of your tribes, wise and experienced men, and appointed them heads over you, leaders of thousands and hundreds and fifties, and often tens, and officers of your tribes. Then I charged your judges at the time, saying, Hear the cases between your fellow countrymen, and judge righteously between a man and his fellow countryman, or an alien who is with him. You shall not show partiality in judgment. You shall hear the small and the great alike. You shall not bear men for judgment as gods. The case that is too hard for you, you shall bring to me, and I will hear it. I commanded you at the time all the things you should do. Then we set out from Horeb and went through all the great and terrible wilderness which you saw on the way to the hill country of the Amorites, just as the Lord our God had commanded us. And we came to Kadesh-barnea. I said to you, You have come to the hill country of the Amorites, which the Lord your God is about to give us. See that the Lord your God has placed the land before you. Go up, take possession, as the Lord your God of your father has spoken to you. Do not fear and be dismayed. Then all of you approached me and said, Let us send men before us, that they may search out the land for us, and bring back to us word of the way by which we should go up the city, and we shall enter. So it's interesting that now we're starting to get more context of what really happened when the spies were sent, right? The main instruction was go into the land and possess it. But the people decided that they wanted to send spies. That way they can make sure that they were going to be able to enter the land. Right? So here we see a deeper and more full context of what's going on through the Israel's history, which Moses is trying to apply to the people. And so he says, then the thing pleased me, and I took 12 of your men, one man of each tribe. They turned and went up into the hill country and came to the valley of Echol and spied it out. Then they took some of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it up to us. And they brought us back as report and said, "This is a good land which the Lord our God is about to give us. Yet you were not willing to go up, but rebelled against the command of your God. And you grumbled in your tent and said, because the Lord hates us, he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites to destroy us. Where can we go up? Our brethren have made our hearts melt, saying, the people are bigger and taller than we. The cities are larger and fortified to heaven. And besides, we saw the sons of the Anakim there. Then I said to you, do not be shocked, nor fear them. The Lord your God who goes before you will himself fight on your behalf, just as he did before you in Egypt and in the wilderness, where you saw how the Lord your God carried you, just as a man carries his son, and all the way which you have walked until you came to this place. But for all this, you did not trust your God." So, again, here Moses is presenting us with a context, right? When they feared going into the land, Moses reminded them of everything that Elohim did for them, and they said that they wouldn't trust Elohim. Now, when we read the first portion in Numbers, we assumed that Moses completely just fell to his face before saying anything. Right now we see that Moses told them that the Lord is going to be with you. Do not be shocked, do not be feared, because the Lord was there for you in Egypt. The Lord was there for you in the wilderness as a father carries his son. Right? And he says, you did not accept that. So, let's keep reading. It says, where was I? It says, but for all this you did not trust the Lord your God, who goes before you on your way to seek out a place for you and camp, and fire by night and cloud by day, to show you the way in which you should go. Then the Lord heard the sound of your words, and he was angry and took oath on and saying, not one of these men, these evil generations, shall see the good land which I swore to give their fathers, except Caleb and the son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him and to his sons I will give the land on which he has set foot, because he has followed the Lord fully. The Lord was angry with me also on your account, saying, not even you shall enter thee. Now, interesting, here Moses is blaming the people for him not being able to enter the land. It says, Joshua, the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall enter there. Encourage him, for he will cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, you little ones who said will become a prey, and your sons, who this day have no knowledge of good or evil, shall enter there, and I will give it to them, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn around and set out for the wilderness by the way of the sea, the Red Sea. Then you said, why have we have sinned against the Lord? We will indeed go up and fight, just as the Lord our God commanded us. And every man you gritted on his weapons of war, and regarded it as easy to go up into the hill country. And the Lord said to me, say to them, do not go up, nor fight, for I am not among you. Otherwise you will be defeated before your enemies. So I spoke to you, but you will not listen. Instead, you rebelled against the command of the Lord, and acted presumptuously, and went up into the hill country. The Amorites who lived in the hill country came out against you and chased you as bees do, and crushed you from Seir to Hormah. Then you returned and wept before the Lord, but the Lord did not listen to you, to your voice, nor gave ear to you. So you remain in Kadesh many days, the days that you have spent there. Right. So interesting. Here Moses is giving us context into the morale that we have been studying, right? The structural, moral aspect of the people, right? They were not willing to listen. They were stubborn. They were stuck in their old ways, meaning that they had their own mindset of how to do things, and they were not willing to listen. Like he implemented, right? You wouldn't listen, right? So here, Moses is opening the book with fundamental moral pointers to the younger generation, which basically is be grateful for Elohim, obey Elohim, and listen to him, right? And here, the book is going to keep establishing a restating, right, from chapters 1 through 4, if I'm not mistaken. Is a reinstating of what happened, right? It says here, then we turned and set out to the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, and the Lord spoke to me and circled the Mount Seir for many days. And the Lord spoke to me, saying, you have circled this mountain long enough. Now turn north and command the people, saying, you will pass through the territory of your brothers, the sons of Esau, who live in Seir, and they will be afraid of you, so be very careful. Do not provoke them, for I will give you any of their land. Even as, verse 5, even as a footstep, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau as a possession. You shall buy food from them without money, so that you may eat, and you shall also purchase water from them with money, so that you may drink. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all that you have done. He has known your wanderings through this great wilderness. These 40 years the Lord your God has been with you. You have not lacked nothing. So we passed beyond our brothers, sons of Esau, who lived in Seir, away from the Arabah road, away from Elath and from Ezion Geber, and we turned and passed through by the way of the wilderness of Moab. Then the Lord said to me, do not harass Moab, nor provoke them to war, for I will not give you any of their lands as a possession, because I have given Ar to the sons of Lot as a possession. Now, the Emim lived there formerly, a people as great, numerous, and tall as Danakim. Like Danakim, they are also regarded as Rephaim, but the Moabites called them Emim. The Horites formerly lived there in Seir, but the sons of Esau deposed them and destroyed them from before them and settled in their place, just as Israel did in the land, their possessions, which the Lord gave them up. Now, arise and cross over the brook of Seir yourselves. So we crossed over the brook Seir. Now, the time that it took for us to come from Kadesh-barnea until we crossed over the brook Seir was 38 years, until all the generation of men of war perished from within the camp, as the Lord had sworn to them. Moreover, the hand of the Lord was against them, to destroy them from within the camp until they are all perished. So it came about when all the men of war had finally perished from among the people, that the Lord spoke to me, saying. So Elohim didn't speak to Moses until this was accomplished. It says, today you shall cross over Ar, the border of Moab. When you come opposite the sons of Ammon, do not harass them, nor provoke them, for I will not give you any of their lands, the sons of Ammon, as a possession, because I have given it to the sons of Lot as a possession. Now, It is also regarded as the land of Rephaim, for the Rephaim formerly lived, but the Ammonites called them Samsumim, as a great people, numerous and tall as the king. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they possessed them and settled in their place, just as he did for the sons of Esau who lived in Seir. When he destroyed the Horites from before them, they dispossessed them and settled in their place, even to this day. So, here is a re-establishing of the events that are occurring. And so, the main point in this introduction for this study is that the legal aspect of the book, not only moral, the legal aspect of the Torah, and how Elohim is reiterating his word, his heart, to his younger generation, so that they can understand the new obstacles and the new things that they're going to encounter. Elohim is going to be there for them, but he gives them the tools again and the structure that they need to enter the land and possess it, so that they can honor Elohim and really represent him. And so it's going to give us an opportunity to review and listen to Elohim's word one more time, right? And it's important because the concept of this book and the concept in the Torah itself is a lot of repetition, right? In many of our teachings, we repeat obedience, we repeat listen, we repeat all these things, but it is something that Elohim is constantly reminding us that we have to do, because we tend to get out of the path, right? We tend to get distracted in our needs and our personal opinions and our personal thoughts. And we need to learn that we have to discipline ourselves to listen to Elohim's word and obey his commandments, right? So, as we listen to Moses, right, repeat the history of Israel, we have to do a retro or introspection of ourselves and answer or ask ourselves, are we doing our best to honor Elohim and represent him correctly? And that is something that we have to do every time we read the Torah and every time we read the Bible. Are we really doing our best to honor Elohim in everything we do? Because the opportunity that the Torah gives us is, it gives us an example of what Elohim asks for and what Elohim doesn't want from us. And it's up to us to understand and discern, how are we going to honor Elohim? So, as we study this new book, our goal is to study the legal aspect with the moral, so that we can honor Elohim correctly. Thank you for watching. Have a great week. Shavuot Tov and Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.